That's where my mental state is right now. Hi. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. Welcome to a video of me trying to actually get through one of my monthly TBRs. Because that never happens. I get so much enjoyment and have so much fun from picking my TBR every month. We're using an advent calendar this year, but I don't know. There's just books that come up, and like when I do the monthly TBRs, I am genuinely excited for every single book. Like the reactions on the monthly TBR video are real. I am so excited. I think it's gonna be a really good TBR. And then the month actually happens and just, I don't know, just don't do it. I am gonna try and change that this year. It is actually over halfway through February and we have only read one book on our monthly TBR that we chose in the beginning of the month. I read I think 5 books this month already, but only one of them has been on my TBR. So I've seen this before on a few videos, but basically I'm going to go through my physical TBR and read my highest rated one on Goodreads and my lowest rated one on Goodreads. That'll knock 2 books off our monthly TBR, maybe get me motivated to finish more books on the TBR. We'll read some really good books. So I actually went on Goodreads, and then as of when I'm filming this video, this is what the ratings are. We have A Court of Silver Flames, which is 4.47, which is very high, which is not surprising because that's the last book in the ACOTAR series, which is a huge series. And then we have Caraval, which is 3.99. Then we have Restore Me, which is 4.17. Then we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is 4.35. Then we have Never, and I couldn't find this on Goodreads. And I think I read this somewhere that it just was taken down on Goodreads, so I couldn't find that. So we're not going to be doing this book for that video because I simply could not find the rating. And then it's Dance of Thieves, which is 4.16. And then we have The Prison Healer, which is 4.22. They're all in the 4-star range, so they're pretty good books. They have pretty good ratings. Going through all these, the highest rated one is A Court of Silver Flames, 4.47, which honestly does not surprise me in the least. Like I said, it is the ACOTAR series. It's a huge series, not even just in length, but also just in popularity. It's huge. So this is gonna be our highest rated book. I did pick this up a little bit in the beginning of the year, and I got to part 2. So we are on part 2, Blade. So we're gonna be finishing this massively huge book on my physical TBR in this video, and that's gonna feel so good because this has just been on there on my TBR for 2 years. Actually, the lowest rated one is Caraval, which is 3.99, which honestly does make sense to me because it is the first book in a series, and I feel like generally succeeding books in trilogies and series are usually higher rated than the first books. I feel like that's just a trend I see. 3.99 is still a relatively high rating. I don't know what it needs to do to get to that 0.01 on Goodreads and get to 4 stars. But we're going to be reading this one as well, which is good because, like I said, even though it's our lowest rated one, it's still pretty highly rated, and I really want to get into this year so I can finish this series and then read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I think I'm actually going to buy this one on my Kindle. It's not on Kindle Unlimited, which is sad. This book is huge, and I get so tired holding huge books like this. It could be such a good book, but I get so tired. Even Iron Flame, which I loved, I bought on my Kindle because I was just tired holding that big book. I think I'm gonna start this one. So yeah, let's go do that. Okay, so let's do a little bit of an update. Because we are starting a new series and finishing, as far as what's out right now, another series. This is going to be an overall no spoilers video. No spoilers completely for Caraval, but if you haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight, then just like skip past A Court of Silver Flames, because I don't know how to talk about this book without giving major spoilers for the rest of the series. So there's gonna be no spoilers for A Court of Silver Flames, but there's gonna be spoilers for the books that came before this book in the ACOTAR series. Just a little warning, this is from Nesta and Cassian's point of view, and let me tell you my journey with this book, because it has been a long and varied one. So I read the first 2 books in the ACOTAR series a year or 2 ago, and then I stopped for a long time, and then just over this past summer I read A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is a little novella that comes before this book and like sets up for this book. I proceeded to wait another 8 months to read this book, but I have just not been wanting to pick it up in like 2023. I just did not want to, but I don't know what happened, but in 2024 I am suddenly very excited to pick this book up, and I am loving it so far. I really am. In the beginning it was a little bit slow, but it is picked up now. Where we're at is Nesta has been is mean to everyone, to like push them away. And what happened to her in A Court of Wings of Ruin is she was thrown into the cauldron against her will, and she never wanted to be a fairy. She had no desire to be a fae, but she was thrown into it by the King of Highburn, and all they've said up until this book is that she took something from the cauldron. Like Elaine was gifted something when she was thrown in, the other sister, but Nesta like took by force something from the cauldron. So we just know that her power is very intense. Don't know what it is yet, but we know that it is just a very intense, scary power, and she has been purposely not using it and just stamping it down because she's scared of it, because it holds a lot of guilt for Elaine being thrown in the cauldron. Nesta has always sort of felt responsible for Elaine. Feyre and Nesta have a weird relationship that we still don't know too much about yet. She has basically been using all of Rhysand and Feyre's money to drink herself into a stupor, and she like brings up a different man every night, and she's just basically throwing away her opportunity, her response, like everything basically. So Feyre decides, look, this is enough. This can't happen anymore. You're gonna have to make something of yourself. You're wasting away and I won't let you. You're gonna train with Cassian. Nesta and Cassian had like a moment in A Court of Wings and Ruin, but nothing since then. You could tell there's like definitely an attraction, and I don't know if they're mates, but I'd be surprised if they're not mates. I don't know if they are. We haven't been told that explicitly yet, but I would be surprised. It's like that kind of relationship between them. Nesta, of course, pushes back hard against this. She does not want to train with Cassian. She has something against Feyre. She doesn't like Rhys at all. And she is just being very prickly and unwilling to do that. Also, in the first part of the book, she was battling a lot with her like inner demons and like the trauma that she dealt with in the first 3 books up until this book. And we also get Cassian's point of view, who is also sort of navigating like the trauma that he felt from the war. So yeah, that is where we're at. It is very, very interesting. It definitely picked up. This book, I've been told, is like much spicier than other books in the series. I feel like honestly the way that she wrote this, I don't remember how she wrote the other books because it's been so long since I've read them, but it just seems like Sarah J. Maas is making the Fae more like human. It's just the way that they talk. I don't know. That's just like, it's just a different sort of vibe. And I could definitely tell that it's gonna be a bit, or a lot spicier than other books in the series. But yeah, that's where we're at as far as storyline. I did buy it on my Kindle, so I'm going to read it on my Kindle because holding this massive book is just, gets tiring fast. We are on chapter 44, page 463. We're still in part 2, But there's 4 parts. We haven't even gotten to part 3 yet, and it's already like over half the book. So I'm not really sure how these parts are split up. I am loving this book. There is probably going to be a spoiler section at the end of this video just because I have to talk about it. I am completely getting back into this world, into the Night Court, into Valaris. I am completely getting hooked back in, just like when I read The Court of Thorns and Roses and the other books in the beginning. I am in love with this world all over again. The characters, the found family with everyone, Nesta and Cassian together. It's thick, but I feel like Sarah J. Maas makes use of all of her pages. It definitely has a lot of romance elements in there, but also the politics and like the world building and the quests that they have to go on. She includes so much of that too that just keeps you feeling like you're watching a movie. And I'm also listening to the graphic audio, which is really cool because they say it's like a movie in your head. They have sound effects, they have a whole voice actor cast, very submersive. I feel like we kind of knew that this was going to be like a redemption arc. And I feel like in part 2, we are definitely seeing Nesta not be wound so tightly and sort of let herself feel a lot more and not be as standoffish. I mean, she still is Nesta. We're also seeing like the softer sides of Nesta. She has to work in the library with all of the priestesses. That's like part of the whole deal that Feyre made with her. She trains with Cassian and then she works at the library and she has made friends in the library. They are a rather large part of this too, but the quest in here is so interesting. Kind of feels like Sarah J. Maas created this thing that was not mentioned in the other books at all just to have a quest in this book, but it also is like it fits so well with the story and with Nesta's character and the things that everyone is battling in this book. Full of spice, that's what I will say. Definitely an 18+ read. Part 3, Valkyrie. There was a lot of progress being made, and then Nesta made a very bad mistake. I just suspect there's going to be a lot of character development upcoming through part 3. It's like you feel for her, but she also does these silly things, and it all stems from grief and PTSD and just not knowing how to handle things. I also printed out these to help me remember faces.
You're right.
No, baby! I decided to somewhat match my book today because we started Caraval. Good morning, everyone, by the way. Hi. I decided to take a break from A Court of Silver Flames, which is our highest rated read, because honestly, I am so much enjoying A Court of Silver Flames, and I kind of just want to savor it, to be honest, because I am loving being back in the ACOTAR world with all of our characters. I decided that I didn't want to rush through that one, and I wanted to start Caraval. I really like this book as well. Honestly, it is like the lowest rated book, but it's still a 3.99, which is still a good rating. And I love how magical Stephanie Garber makes this world. Like, I have heard this about Once Upon a Broken Heart, her other series, but Stephanie Garber is just so good at creating such magical worlds, especially now that we've just gotten to Caraval, the island of Caraval. Just every description, I can picture it so clearly in my head, and it just feels so fairy tale, magical, amazing. Like, I need to see this in a movie. I don't think it's a movie, I don't think it's gonna be a movie anytime soon, but I really want to see it in like a movie or a TV show because I feel like they could do some really cool special effects with this. It is about Donatella and Scarlet. They're both sisters. Their dad is a terrible person. Scarlet, the older sister, is about to get married to like an arranged marriage, and that's gonna be her like ticket out, her and her sister's ticket out to their terrible home situation. Scarlet spends her entire life writing to Legend, who's the Caraval, like, what's the name of ringmaster, like the Caraval ringmaster essentially of Caraval the game, wrote back with tickets that are for her and her sister. And they also have Julian, which we met, who is the sailor that we met in the first chapter, and he offered them passage to Caraval the island, and now he was there with them. I think the game is about to begin, so we will see, but I'm liking it. Like, just the way that she describes things, like she said Scarlet was feeling sage shaded colors of suspicion, like, and then some of the way that they describe the actual island is the clouds took on a baked bronze glimmer the closer they drew to the isle, as if they were on the edge of catching fire rather than expelling rain. Just like, her descriptions are great. Dying, but they're not just yet. A few thoughts that I had while I was reading it that I wanted to talk about. Julian, the sailor that we met in chapter 1 that I think I told you about, I don't know if I trust him. I have a hunch about Julian. He's just being kind of like, I don't know, like shady, but also like brutally honest. He's a very interesting character. Tella, Scarlet's sister, is the game of Caraval. Everyone that is participating in Caraval has to find Donatella. We are into night 2 of Caraval. I think there's 5 nights altogether, and it's interesting because it's like a night circus. So curfew is at sunrise and everyone goes out during sunset. It's also still very, very magical, and I feel like a lot of this is like Alice in Wonderland, honestly. Like, it's giving Alice in Wonderland vibes because she just talked to like a fortune teller, and just the way that he was talking gave me a lot of like the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland vibes. She also saw something that she wasn't supposed to see, but it's so odd reading this because you're reminded all the time, like, it's just a game. The game is gonna try and trick you, but it's just a game. Don't worry about it. You don't always trust your eyes type thing. So when I'm reading this, I'm like questioning if anything's like what everything is, like if I can trust anything I'm reading or seeing throughout Caraval. It's very interesting. It's definitely an immersive world that I can get into, and I'm happy that I started reading it. Welcome to my next day. I wanted to say that I love this book. Got to such a, not cliffhanger part, but like the action was happening. Things have been happening between Julian and Scarlet. Also, some of the things that he says to her are so cute in this last few chapters of the book. Her name's Scarlet, and then he always calls her Crimson, just as, like, I think he got it actually wrong the first time, but now he obviously knows her name's Scarlet, but he's just using it as like a little joke with her. And every time he says Crimson, it feels like, I don't know, it shouldn't, but it feels like a cute little adorable name for her. They're running and they're trying to figure out how to win the game, find the sister, and everything like that. They're in the falling action of the book, and it's so good. And this world is so immersive, not only just because Scarlet describes emotions in colors, but also just the way that she describes Caraval is just so magical and fairy tale like, and it almost feels like you're in a fever dream the entire time, but it works. That's our Caraval book. I'm gonna go finish reading it right now, then we'll jump back into A Quarter Silver Flames, and then we'll do our final wrap up. everyone. I'm using my warm colored ring light, so I wonder if the lighting is good or bad right now. We officially finished A Court of Silver Flames, our highest rated book on our TBR for the month of February. And then also Caraval, which is the lowest rated book on our TBR. So for Caraval, I rated it a 4.25, which I think is really good, honestly. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I feel like there were just some parts of it that felt like a fever dream to me, and I don't love those types of books. I loved the descriptions that they gave, and it was so cool to see the magic of Caraval and the plot twist and how the story all played out and everything like that. But the fever dream parts of it were just odd to me, and I never knew whether or not I could trust Julian, and I was kind of confused about like what Caraval really was. I think that Stephanie Garber did that on purpose because you're supposed to be like in it with Scarlett, and Scarlett's also very confused about what's happening too. Otherwise, I really enjoyed this. I really loved her writing. I really loved the idea of Caraval being a night circus. The only thing is, I feel like Scarlett at the end like believed a lot more things like very quickly, and the wrap up at the end like didn't make any sense to me. I had to think about it for a little while and then I understood. So that's why it's a 4.25. There were just some little things, but overall I am definitely going to continue this series. I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I liked the sort of mystery element of not only the characters that we were introduced to, but also just the mystery element of where is Donatella and like little plot things in this book. I really enjoyed. And then A Court of Silver Flames, I gave this 5 stars. Oh my goodness, I love this book. I cannot believe it took me a whole 2 years to pick this book up after I finished the rest of the series. This book, I don't know if it's my favorite because I do really love Feyre and Rhys's story, but just Nesta's character development and character growth, I feel like because this book is almost 800 pages, there was no point where I felt like, oh, this is kind of rushed, and there's no point where I felt like, oh, like this is dragging on. It was the perfect amount of time for Nesta to experience her character growth and for us to see her character growth. I cried. Also, the last like part 4 punches you in the face out of nowhere. It's like I had a feeling that this was gonna happen, but the way that it happened and how it wrapped into like everything else with the quest that was going on, if you know what I mean, like what Nesta spent part 4 doing, was just so good. Cassian had some really good lines, and so did Nesta. Like I said, I am so happy I annotated this book. I loved Nesta's found family. I'm not gonna say more than that, but I loved it. Stay tuned until the end. You read this book and you want to see the spoiler section. That is gonna be it for this video of reading the highest and lowest rated book on our February TBR. I'm so happy we got started with these two. These are 2 that I was low-key avoiding, so I'm really happy that we did this so that I could read them, and I really like them. That is gonna be it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Spoiler section for A Court of Silver Flames. Let's go. So I am on chapter 44, page 463. So much has happened. So Nesta is agreeing to work with Cassian and her friends Gwyn and her also friend Emery from the shop. So they are also training with Cassian and Azriel, and Nesta is regaining some of her confidence back with the training, which I think was the goal, and it's also really cool to see. She is essentially Lady Death. The whole scene with the Kelpie and her like putting on the mask, summoning the dead, was just so epic, and I need to see that in a movie. I love the quest of the Dread Trove, like finding the 3 items, them having the mask, Brielyn having the crown, juxtaposing that with Feyre being pregnant. We're experiencing much of like a Twilight Breaking Dawn type thing. Rhys is doing everything he can to try and figure out how Feyre can survive this baby's birth, because the baby is going to be born with wings. Them searching for the Dread Trove, and Nesta having to sort of take the reins because Feyre's out of commission. We just found out that the 3 objects that she forged with Cassian, like when they were at the blacksmith, found out that they are cursed. Just like the Dread Trove items are cursed. Every part of this is so good, and I'm so excited. Part 4 made me cry when Nesta's found family, her, Gwen, and Emery, when they all were basically, they were put against their will into the blood right and had to do exactly what Azriel, Rhys, and Cassian did. They were all split up. They had to find each other with a little bracelet, and that's a cute little thing. Don't know how that magic works, if Nesta's magic didn't work, but it's fine, we're not gonna think too much about it. I cried when they all shared their stories with each other. When Nesta took the final stand to make sure Emery and Gwen got to the top, that was like what she needed to feel like she earned her powers, earned Cassian's love, earned everyone at the night court. And the way that she declared Cassian her mate, like, my mate taught me how to. Bam! I loved how she saved Feyre's baby. We all knew that Feyre's baby was gonna get saved, little Nyx. But I think that the fact that she gave everything up, Rhys has fully forgiven her. She has fully forgiven herself. She feels like she redeemed herself. This was just such a great redemption arc story. So happy I read it.